In the Highlight Correct Summary question of the PTE exam, you'll need to carefully juggle your reading and listening skills. Sometimes this isn't easy, even in your own language, so keep listening for some great tips to help you succeed with this question type. Hi, I'm Sharon, and I'm a PTE trainer here at Benchmark Education Solutions. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the Highlight Correct Summary question type in the listening section of the PTE exam. We'll look at how this question is scored, we'll do an example together, and at the end, I'll leave you with some important tips to keep in mind when answering these questions. Let's get started with a brief overview of this question. This is the fourth task in the listening section, right in the middle, and you will see a screen with several multiple choice options. These will be summaries of what you're going to listen to. You'll hear an audio lasting anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds, and you will need to choose the answer that correctly summarizes the audio that you hear. You'll have 10 seconds to prepare before listening, which is when you should scan your answer options for keywords. We'll go over these strategies and tips in our in-depth lesson. Overall, the skills you're tested on with these questions include your listening skills, obviously, but also your ability to read and listen for keywords and understand the main ideas while you're listening. And finally, you can expect to see 2 or 3 of these questions on test day. Okay, now let's see how these questions are scored. This question's scoring is integrated since it counts toward both your listening and reading scores. Other than that, the scoring is quite simple. Your answer is either correct or incorrect. You get a score of 1 for each correct response and a score of 0 for an incorrect response. So if you choose something incorrectly, you won't be given a negative score or lose a point. This is something to keep in mind. Now let's look at an example. Here's a typical example of what you would see on test day. Note that in this example there are 3 multiple choice options. You would have 10 seconds to quickly scan the options for keywords. Although 10 seconds is not a lot of time, it is definitely helpful. With a quick scan, we can see a few keywords: nuclear weapons, ACDA, research, consequences, document, findings. These are just a few keywords that we found before listening to the audio. This is extremely helpful because it gives you an excellent idea of what you can expect to listen to. That is, we already know the topic will be about nuclear weapons and research. Now it's time to listen. While you're listening, take notes on the main ideas. This will help you when it's time to choose your answer. One very important tip is not to read the answer options while you're listening. This is counterproductive because you won't be able to pay attention to the audio. You need to listen actively, take notes, and then choose the best answer. Now let's start the audio. When it's finished, I'll give you a few seconds to choose your answer. Are you ready? Let's start.
In nuclear explosions, about 90% of the energy is released in less than 1/1,000,000th of a second. Most of this is in the form of the heat and shock waves which produce the damage. It is this immediate and direct explosive power which could devastate the urban centers in a major nuclear war. Compared with the immediate colossal destruction suffered in target areas, the more subtle, longer-term effects of the remaining 10% of the energy released by nuclear weapons might seem a matter of secondary concern, but the dimensions of the initial catastrophe should not overshadow the after-effects of a nuclear war. They would be global, affecting nations remote from the fighting for many years after the Holocaust, because of the way nuclear explosions behave in the atmosphere and the radioactive products released by nuclear bursts.
Okay, how did you do? Before I show you the answer, I want to show you the transcript and a set of notes. Of course, your notes may look different, and that's fine. Notice how the notes here feature abbreviations, arrows, and other symbols. This cuts down on your writing time while still keeping things understandable. Things like WW and LT stand for worldwide and long-term, for example. Find a note-taking process that works for you. Just make sure that you can understand it when you answer. The transcript is exactly what was played. The highlighted parts are the main ideas and key words of the transcript. Of course, it's much easier to understand that now while looking at it. With time and practice, you should be able to point out the main ideas from listening. Now, let's look at the correct answer. As you can see, the correct answer is A. Now let's look at why. Answer option A contains all of the main ideas, which is why it's the best summary. The speaker talked about research regarding the wider effects of nuclear weapons and mentioned that the previous ones were concerned with immediate consequences. She mentioned the ACDA's document of 200 pages that provides information about the findings and results of the research, as well as facts. Notice how most of our notes matched up with this answer option. Answer option B is incorrect because it contains false information. Immediate surroundings was not included in the transcript. Immediate consequences was. This is a common trick for this question type, and it's easy to fall into this trap if you read and listen at the same time. Answer option C is incorrect because it focuses on only one piece of the recording, the research done by the ACDA. It also includes information that was not present in the transcript, such as the fact that it's the first of its kind and offers access to multiple studies. So answer C is also incorrect. How did you do? In our in-depth lesson, we'll go over more strategies and some more examples. But before we finish, I want to go over some important tips for you to remember about highlight correct summary. First, make sure to scan for keywords during your preparation time. This is extremely important and will make a difference in how you listen and answer. This next tip is also very important. Do not read the answers and listen at the same time. As I said earlier, this is counterproductive and you can fall into traps like we saw in our example. Instead of doing that, take notes of keywords and the main ideas that you can refer to after the recording finishes. So, after the audio ends, glance through your answer options and choose the correct answer. If you're stumped on a specific question, use the process of elimination to choose the best answer. This is a great skill. Just eliminate the answer that is definitely not correct based on your notes, and go from there. And speaking of that, always choose something, even if you're not sure. You won't receive a negative score, and the worst that can happen is the minimum score of 0. So never leave these questions blank. I hope this overview gave you a general idea of what you can expect from highlight correct summary questions. If you'd like to practice more questions or learn more about the exam, check out our website at edubenchmark.com or watch our other videos, including the in-depth lesson and helpful do's and don'ts for this question type. You should also take our PTE speaking mock test. You'll find all these links in the description below. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.